It was Saturday. It was the Saturday where I missed my train because the fucker at the event just kept talking. Everyone's trying to leave. The dude just stood up and kept fucking talking. But before that happened, I was catching the bus to get to the train earlier in the morning. Now, Google Maps warned me in advance that the bus was going to be delayed for 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. Went to 7-Eleven, got a drink, started waiting at the bus stop. On my way to the bus stop, there were some fucking Christian guys preaching about Jesus, handing out flyers. I walked past all those fuckers. A few of them tried to hand me flyers. I'm like, I'm not interested. I kept walking, got to the bus station. It's almost like the universe itself wanted me to have this interaction because as soon as I plopped up on the bus station and was just minding my business waiting, some fucking clown from all the way across the street comes over. Hey, didn't any of them hand you a flyer? I'm like, they tried, I just didn't take one. And he's like, what, you don't believe in Jesus? And I'm like, no. He's like, what, are you an atheist? I'm like, no, agnostic. Now, this was the first sign that this conversation was about to get interesting because I find it funny how you got all of these priests and all of these pastors. See, 1,000 years ago, to even be considered for priesthood, you need to have a thorough understanding of theology. But in 2022, man, I mean, the dude didn't know what agnostic meant. The dude didn't know what Jacob's ladder was. Dude didn't know what as above, so below meant. Dude didn't know nothing. But he's trying to convert people to Christianity when he didn't even have basic knowledge on the subject. So the conversation opened up with me having to explain to him what agnostic means, which, for those of y'all that don't know what it means, it's like you have theism, then you have atheism. Theism is the belief in something. Atheism is the lack of belief in something. Agnosticism has several different definitions. The definition that I use when, and really I don't ever call myself agnostic, but to keep things simple, I picked the word that would quickly describe the situation to this guy. But he didn't even know what it meant, so I had to explain it to him. Agnostic is basically when you not deny, because that implies that what you're denying is true, but you accept that there is a greater power around you, but you don't think that it's, from a singular entity or a god, etc. You know what I'm saying? I talk about natural law on the channel a lot. You guys probably figured out by now that the only things I care about is knowledge and understanding the laws of the universe around me. And I basically explained this to the guy that, the universe around you is the ultimate power. There, you know what I'm saying? And, don't debate with people in general, but especially religious people, because here this guy is, he's trying to convert people, but he didn't even know the basics. Didn't know what agnostic means, didn't know what Jacob's ladder was, even though he's a Christian, didn't know what as above, so below meant. He didn't know shit. But, hey, I had 20 minutes to kill before my bus got there, so I entertained the conversation with him. So he asked, why don't you believe in God? Why don't you accept God, right? And, why don't you accept that God is the creator? And I basically explained to him, well, a major reason that, I'm agnostic, and the major reason that I see the universe as a whole as the ultimate power, the laws of nature, knowledge, etc., is because the most obvious problem with believing in a God, right? Actually, no, I'm going to cover that in a separate video. Specifically sticking to what my conversation was with this guy, the most obvious problem is, let's say God created everything, right? Who created God? In order for something to be created in the first place, a plane for creation has to already be here. That's the universe. See, a common misconception is that You had the Big Bang, and then everything was created. We now know from modern telescopes that can actually see beyond light that the universe was still here even before the Big Bang. They're going to put a new telescope up in space that's going to replace the Hubble. The Hubble can see 8 billion light years, like, straight, which essentially means you're seeing 8 billion years into the past. So we can see already beyond light and matter, and we know that the universe was still here. So if a God shows up and just starts creating everything, there has to be a plane of existence already here for a God to show up and start creating in the first place. But we know God didn't create anything because I got a fucking golden doodle. Golden doodles didn't exist 60 years ago. Who created her? I explained to him that it's a cycle of life, right? A cycle. There is no creation, there is no destruction. It's just a cycle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even before we were born, we were still alive. We were still an energy source in the universe. Now, obviously, we don't have any memories of this because while we're an energy source, we don't have brains. And brains is where our memories are stored. And if a person dies, they merely transition states. Christianity acknowledges this. In Christianity, you know, if you die, death is described as an eternal lake of fire and lava. Now, he didn't know what that means. He didn't even know that verse, even though he was a Christian trying to convert people to the religion. So another clown walks up and was like, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that when you die, you go to hell. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I didn't say hell. I said that Christianity describes death as an eternal lake of fire and lava. So I now have two clowns claiming to be Christian, don't even know the basics of their religion. That's when I started going into Jacob's ladder, right? Jacob was a fellow who had a dream that the brightest star in the sky is where heaven was, right? Now, when people think of hell, they think of fire. They think of burning. When Jacob thought of heaven, he thought of a star, a bright burning star. This is why every depiction you see of Jacob's ladder, the ladder literally climbs to a star or a sun, depending on which interpretation of the picture you're using. He didn't know any of this though. So when I described to him that your religion describes death as an eternal lake of fire and lava, he didn't know what the fuck I meant. The first book in Christianity is called the Book of Genesis, translated as the Book of Genesis. So Christianity does talk about how, it does talk about the cycle of life and talk about how before we were energy, and if somebody dies, there will be energy. But the main problem is, in order to see that type of information, you have to know how to read. You have to know how to suck up your ego and grab a dictionary when you don't understand things. I made a video on my channel called The Root Word of Belief is Lie, where I basically broke down that belief is lies, religion is lies, because the root word of religion, lig, which is short for the verb legere, means to lie, the process of lying. Religion, the process of lying anew. And a common criticism I always hear is that, oh, Chris, you're taking it too seriously. What words mean don't matter. You can just make up your own meanings for words. And that right there is why you people never learn anything. That right there is why we have fucking priests and pastors trying to convert people to their religion and they don't even know the basics of their religion. Anyways, so he's picking my brain. We're having this conversation for like a good 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I could tell he understood at least some of what I was saying. But ultimately, he ended the conversation with, well, I believe this, so, you know, that's that, right? And I'm like, cool, you know? Now, I didn't tell him that the root word of belief is lie. I didn't go in depth like I do on my channel. I kind of just entertained the conversation until my bus got here, and the bus was coming as soon as he was ready to leave anyway. So, what's the purpose of this video, though? That little story aside, right? The truth is usually in the middle. Early on in the conversation, I explained to the guy that atheists, for the most part, they lack theism because they just don't care. They don't really want to find the truth, they just don't care. Religious people believe that their God is telling them the truth, so they don't care to hear opposition. My mentality is this: if you just don't care, you're screwed regardless, because then you just walk around life blind, never knowing anything. You just fuck yourself by not caring. When you follow one side zealously, you're also blind, because if the person that is feeding you information is telling you the truth, you got it. You got lucky. But if the person that's feeding you the information is lying to you intentionally, or because they themselves don't know, then essentially what you have is the blind leading the blind, right? The truth is in the middle. The truth of the matter is, you won't find the truth and just not caring, nor will you find the truth and just picking one God, one religion, and just blindly listening to what that religion tells you. Because again, the root word of religion is lig, which means to lie. Got a whole video breaking that down. The truth is in the middle. The way I look at it is, what if God is lying to you? And we know that in religion, there's a lot of intentional lies that have been debunked over the last 5,000 years. Now, people try to justify, oh, well, they had no way of knowing back then. Okay, if they didn't know, then why are they presenting you with these religions as know-it-all religions? If they didn't know, why didn't they say they didn't know? See, I always talk about why you shouldn't tolerate deception, mostly because of shit like this. If you catch your God in a lie, and then you try to justify your God lying because he's your God, and you tolerate deception, the only thing that's happening is the blind is leading the blind, and then you all fall into a ditch. That's exactly why, Christianity, followers of Christianity are called sheep. And that's not me making fun of them. Their religion literally tells them this. Go read the Bible. If you're a Christian, you're a sheep, and the Lord is your shepherd, right? Shepherd is a combination of sheep and herd. It's all hidden in plain sight, but the truth is in the middle. Now, how do you find this hidden middle truth? Simple. Shout out to my homeboy Jetty, because we be talking about this all the time. Jetty's, matter of fact, I'll get him on video one of these days so he can explain it better himself. But essentially, you're usually given two options. One extreme end, the other extreme. One extreme end, the other extreme end, right? Both ends have some truth with a lot of bullshit sprinkled on top of it. You see, what they do is, the people that rule over you, they never just fully give you the truth in one dose. They take a core truth that everybody can gravitate to, and then they sprinkle a bunch of bullshit on top of it, right? Example with Christianity. The first book in Christianity, Genesis, literally is translated from the book of genes, right? So the very first book in Christianity does vaguely go over how life and the cycle works. But the way religion does it is that it codes the message in such a way that unless you have a dictionary next to you, you're never going to know any of this anyways. And then on top of that, the little bit of truth that it tells you, it sprinkles a bunch of bullshit on it, like creation and everything was made in 7 days. We have modern fucking telescopes that allow us to see 8 billion years into the past. 8 billion light years, right? We know the universe wasn't made in 7 days. That's just a bold-faced lie. But religious people, oh, well, they had no way of knowing the real time. If they didn't fucking know, why did they execute people for questioning the religion? Why was the Inquisition a thing if they didn't fucking know? This is why you can't tolerate lies. The truth is in the middle. So what you have to do is this. Learn from every source. Listen to everything that you hear. Listen, observe, and calculate. You guys know what I always say. Listen, listen, listen. If it contradicts, it's false. See, people always point out that religion has a lot of contradictions, but then they proceed to follow the religion anyways because in their minds they have no choice. They're afraid of being zapped by lightning if they don't follow that religion. Listen to me carefully. The second something contradicts, question it. By questioning the contradiction, that is what can lead you to the truth. And the truth is usually in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Democrat, Republican, communism, capitalism, pro-life, pro-abortion, you know what I'm saying? Fucking pro, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Liberal, conservative, war, peace, pacifist, anarchy, religion, non-religion, atheism, theism, bald, having hair. The truth is in the middle, usually. Don't just follow one supreme, zealous end of the spectrum or the other. Don't be a liberal or a conservative. Look in the middle, see the contradictions from both ends, and then find the truth in the center. The title of this video is going to be called As Above, So Below, The Truth is in the Middle. Those that get it, get it. Those that don't get it, probably never will. Before I catch you guys in the next one, hopefully my story was entertaining, but hopefully you guys see what happens when you just blindly follow one end of the spectrum, right? On the religious end, it leads to people not even knowing their own religion and trying to convert people. On the other side of the spectrum, if you just don't care at all, because most atheists don't care at all. They don't care to learn anything. And that's equally, I would argue that's actually worse, because religious people at least have a reason why they do the stuff they do. Even though the reason is incorrect, at least they believe they're doing something with a purpose. But if you just don't fucking care at all, then it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're just existing. You're not living. I think my hair is dry now. So I'm going to go. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.